right, welcome to the Prospect Podcast. Coach Schumann and I have Coach D, as always, here on a lovely rainy Tuesday in New Jersey. I'm sure it's sunny where PJ Gibbs is, and it's probably good weather down there in the land of Florida. But we're glad to have our guest PJ Gibbs back. We're going to talk a lot of defensive football today. He's the 3 safety defensive specialist, and he's got all kinds of great programs with that. And he's the architect of Fast Physical 3 safety defense. He had the number 1 defense in Southwest Florida in 2023. 25 years as a coach. He's really done a fantastic job with this program, and based out of lovely Naples, Florida, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a good place to be. So welcome back to the podcast, Coach.
Thank you guys for having me on. And I don't know if you can see up my window, that is sunlight that's coming in through there. So I know you guys haven't seen that in a while, but one of the few perks about living down here, during this time of year is we did get a little bit of rain yesterday, which we needed. But other than that, I think it's like 84 for the high today. Low humidity though. Low humidity.
I'll take the humidity. I don't even care. Like I don't really give a shit at this point. Like my God, like it's brutal. But, hey,
just freezing cold and rain.
That's it. It is what it is. It's all good.
It was funny. My mom was down. She still lives in Manasquan, so she was down a couple weeks ago, and she called me like it was that week when it was like didn't get above like 10 degrees. With the wind chill, and she was like, I don't care if it's 35 degrees in Naples. I'm sitting at the pool all day long.
Yep, 100%. What it is. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. At that point,
but yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on, Coach. Yeah, so like you said, 25 years of coaching. Came up with this system in 2020 when I was a head coach for the Japanese national team, and I know we talked about that a little bit. Last time I was on, and just got off the road 2 weeks in a row speaking at the Nike Coach of the Year in Connecticut and Orlando, and I'll be heading out to North Carolina 3rd week of this month to go speak at the Walkertown Clinic and steal 2 days of spring ball with my brother-in-law. He's the assistant head coach at Wake Forest, so it's a win-win, for me. And just recently got hired last month as the new DC at First Baptist Academy down here in Naples, and Jason Cawley is the head coach. He's a longtime guy that's Army vet and been a head coach in Hawaii and Colorado and Alabama and North Florida. And I get to work for Mark Herslick, who's our athletic director.
Mark Herslick from DC?
Former Boston College Eagle and New York Giant. And so he was here, took the job last year, and we talked in the off season, and we came to an accord, and here I am.
It's awesome.
That is awesome. It's interesting. Florida is a different place where there's like not just public schools and parochial schools, but there's also a lot of the small like Christian schools too as well. It's a mix. A lot of different programs.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things too, like both my kids are in private school, and one of the things that Governor DeSantis has done down here is that if you choose to go to private school, you can apply. It's a $9,000 voucher towards your tuition.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. So
automatic.
Automatic. Yeah, automatic. So it's the schools, 20, you chop 9 off the top, and then if you need to apply for financial aid or what have you, or if you can make up that difference yourself. But yeah, if you want to go to a private school in the state of Florida, you get a $9,000 voucher.
Yeah.
What am I?
It's one of the appeals. Yeah, it's one of the
doing,
appeals.
Eric?
I'm telling you.
What are we doing?
I already know. I know what I'm doing. I don't have a choice, but like, goddamn, like, but look, I'm like I said, my sister, like, she's making that move. Like, she'll be down there, like, very close. You know what I mean? So she's been down there with the kids the last couple of weeks, touring schools and doing all that stuff.
She is. Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah, this is happening.
I don't know if you guys have been following it all, but we have an amendment on the docket for November to get rid of property taxes, which will pass. I don't see it not passing.
Oh, yeah, there's no way that does not pass.
But the one thing I did, my father-in-law, they've been down here 2 years longer than us, but they owned a house in South Carolina and a house in Florida. And he did say probably what's going to end up happening is if you're a full-time resident, you're going to keep the no property taxes. But what they'll probably do in a year or two after this passes in November is that the people that are full-time residents, that's who they're going to hammer.
Which they should, right? And rightfully so, because you can't look. I'm sorry, you can't live in the best of both worlds. Sorry, dude, it is what it is.
Right.
I mean, it's reverse seasons, right? So it's like the Jersey Shore right now in the summer with the traffic and the blue hairs driving sitting on telephone books. I can't tell you how many car accidents there are during season, man. It's crazy, but it is what it is.
PJ, you have to decipher between the different types of blue hairs. The blue hairs you're referring to are the old people. The blue hairs that we see up here in the Northeast, a lot of times have a nose ring right through the middle and are yelling at people. So
yeah.
You have to decipher the difference between those people.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what you're saying. Wow, it's so interesting. It really is. It's amazing how two different worlds. That's it.
It is. It is. It really is.
Obviously, since you're from here, you know what I mean. So it's amazing. It's two different worlds. Let's talk a little bit about just kind of recap. From last time the 3 safety system, just so everybody at least has a baseline before we start to dive into it. And I also want to talk about, obviously, all the stuff that you're putting out there and all those kind of things. So I'd like you to dive into that too, because I'm familiar with some of it. I'm not familiar with all of it. So, dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, what we talked about last time is, basically the system, when we developed it, was because of the fact that we're going to be undersized, have some more athletes on the field, and only had 5 days to get ready for a game in AT&T Stadium. So, obviously, having the guys on our staff that we did, having, Rich Reed, Bob Gennarelli, Mike Galos, LJ Clark, that always helps when you have, a couple Hall of Famers and a couple guys that are, head coaches to help you, develop that and ask questions, if you need to. But really for us, it's keeping the same personnel on the field, and getting speed on the field, and being extremely multiple, but multiplicity by simplicity. So for us, it's like, we're going to give you a front, but we're going to give you 6 or 7 different pressures out of it. And we just continued to build. I'm a big proponent of trap coverage. I know we talked about that last time, and I talked about it at both clinics in Connecticut and Orlando, and told high school coaches, you don't got to go full in on it. But I said, if you don't have this in your arsenal, I was like, you're really at a disadvantage, because all the RPO and quick game that we're seeing and perimeter run, and you take away that stuff, no free access, because we start everything out of a press too high look, keep that middle safety at 8 yards over number 3, but we move him around like a chess piece, right? Like we talked about last time, where, he'll be up, he'll blitz, he'll be up as a 5 technique, he'll be over number 3, he'll be, stacked on the defensive end. He's unaccounted for in most of the stuff. That's usually why he leads the team in tackles. But yeah, so, and again, every year we're evolving. I've done a really big study this offseason on Indiana and Oregon defensively, and kind of things that, Coach Lanning and, Coach Haynes have done, and kind of added some stuff into the arsenal where more of it into the simulated world, but also keeping it, cover 3 base, trap base, cover 2 base, just stuff that our kids do already. Because to me, and I talked about this last weekend in Orlando, to me, it's all about your presentation and how you present that pre-snap picture to dictate to the offense. And I think in high school football, covering the center, I think is paramount, whether the guy's coming or he's not. The kid's got to snap the ball. He's still a high school football player at the end of the day. So I think to have somebody standing in front of him or in a 4-point stance, I think that's something that's key. And then, again, whether you're going to bring 4, 2, 6, 7, 8, it's all about that, all about that presentation.
I think that's a great point. So when you're talking about, first, we talk about trap defense, you talk about coverage wise. Are you talking a little bit about some of the stuff that like Saban runs with his trap coverage, with where he shows a look, and then he keeps the corner on one side down playing low, or in trips you have the backside guy robbing from to the front side for vertical stuff like that? Or are you talking about Talk about what you're talking about from a trap coverage standpoint.
So, I mean, for us, trap coverage, we play it two different ways. So I'm going to pull up something here for you guys, Coach. Let me see if I can grab this presentation real quick, and I can kind of walk you through it once this thing decides to get on presentations. There we go. But basically what we do is we're going to play a sight and a squat technique. And the sight technique is really stuff that we want to show it. I'm going to pull it up right now.
Yeah. You might be able to show it.
Let me see.
I think you can.
Let me see. Should go to share screen. Share screen. Let's go to. Okay. Beautiful. Share.
It's definitely that trap coverage is definitely something we've seen come more so. I've definitely seen it a lot more in the off season. I know guys have always kind of, played around with it and whatnot, but it's definitely been a staple. Almost every clinic I've been to this all season has had somebody speaking on it, like individually in a session. So, I know it's always been an aspect or, kind of there, but I think guys are really kind of like looking at it from a mainstay standpoint of like, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, it's a game changer. So
no
can you guys see this, Coach?
I think I have to click.
Oh yeah, we can. You might be able to just.
Oh yeah, I have to add it. Here we go. Okay, now you're good. Good.
There
you go.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, basically what we're doing is we're playing. So this is like sight. So like we start everything pressed too high. We're going to undercut number one with a sight on two, and we're going to sink until two comes out. Right. So, and then the safeties are weaving over top of number one. Now the overhangs, now this is just a basic picture, kind of giving you a 3-4 look, but the overhangs are cut to number two, which means they have number two upper in. And then the mic and the jack would be the cut to three players. If we got motion to trips, the mic would be the cut to three. And then the jack would be the low hole player. So, but now when we're pressuring, that changes who the cut players are. So that's the sight technique. So that's just a really undercut. And I got a couple of video clips I'll show you guys too. The squat technique, because of how we start everything, we make it look like press bail 3, but our eyes are still on 2. So we cross over, run, open, inside leverage to make it look like press bail 3. So the quarterback thinks he's getting 3 when it's really 2 trap. So that's how we get to that. Let me see. Play this. You guys can see, I think we can see this, right? This is gonna interweb. Come on, interweb, do your job.
Yeah.
I like how you call it the interweb. That's great.
Do your job, baby.
It that disguise too, like, you know what I mean? Because most guys are taught, hey, their eyes are going to a certain spot from a quarterback standpoint, right? Like he sees them cross over, run, and get out right now. Like he's automatically in his head thinking one thing, and now bang, all of a sudden the picture changes. That's a game changer, especially at the high school football level where some of those guys are out there, they don't even know what they're looking at.
This internet's not.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, that's the any kind of trap is quarterback has a look that's different than what he's expecting. Forget it. It's a problem for him, especially since most of the time he's a one look guy in high school.
Or a one read guy, right? Like, hey, he does this. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what we're doing. Yeah, I mean, I think it's.
I don't know why this is not.
I just think it's different. You know what I mean? For me, too, also getting those, with the corners being more involved at the line of scrimmage, I think is a bit of a different, you know what I mean? A game changer for when, when I look at how to defend and whatnot with the way quarterbacks move nowadays, especially at the high school level. I think just allowing your corners to kind of be more of a factor up in the run game. I think trap does that a little bit because your eyes are just, more so there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the internet, but I'll give you this picture. So like here you can see the corners are both pressing. So now here's our Viper. So we're bringing a 5-man pressure from the field. So there we go. Now we're kind of moving a little bit. Okay. You're going to see 2 like undercut and get sight. Here comes our cut to 2 player, right?
Right.
We go back, show that again. But we work this. I mean, this is like an everyday thing for us. And see how 14 is kind of playing like basketball defense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? So he kind of, and that's a drill that the Rovers and the Vipers will do every day. Because he's waiting to see who the cut player is, right? Taking away all the quick stuff. And I mean, obviously the stunt gives them a problem up front because we got a twist down here with the overload. So the tackle can't be right. See how the tackle steps down and now the end runs free. Now I get this question a lot. They're like, what if they run mesh? And I said, okay, well, let's take a look at them running mesh. Watch Five's eyes here for sight once this thing gets going. This is like the third play of the game. And they try to run mesh at us at a 2x2. Just watch Five's eyes. He's sinking. Watch his eyes right here.
Good night.
Right.
And so that's the trap where he stays low, right?
Yep. So he's looking, like you said, if he continues to go with one, this is going to be a touchdown. Right? If he continues to go with 12 here, this kid catches the ball. I mean, maybe he saves it, but probably not. But this becomes his new 2.
Not in Florida.
When they go across the trap, if he rides him, he'll ride.
He won't. That's why he came off. Like he won't stay with him because he knows that like right here, here's the other cut guy, the low hole guy. So that's why he comes off because his sight is looking for 2.
Right, because if he played this and he just jammed him down, right? He might have picked that, right? No, like if playing it exactly how you want him to play it.
I'd rather him do that, Coach.
Yeah, they're not running. That guy coming across the middle ain't running mesh after this part. Or
that was the first. That was the first and only time they ran it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was we're not running this again type of.
So now and then here we get it to trips, right? So the mics are cut to 3 player. Don't throw bubble into it.
Yeah, why? Yeah, especially that. Like that's a.
And how would they play like that mesh that's run like as an intermediate cross? So that
he's just gonna let it go. I mean, so if he gets like if it's a high like an over
the top of him,
we have the low hole guy sitting right there.
Okay,
so we'll be fine.
Sitting there for that.
Yes. Yep. And then this is starting to work now. So let me show you
especially with no vertical threat, right? That safety can now really play that low hole, that mid-range dig, you know what I mean? Like, and then when your guys start to rep it and they start to understand.
So if one went vertical and then you have that cross, would he then sink in that situation? So like,
because the one's going to get outside of release, right? Because the safety's over top. So yeah, he's looking for work. Unless we get like a swing route or we get speed op where he's got to fit the run.
Right. Or you can kind of game plan that with a QB that's more like a run game QB. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this guy's going to take off and go, kind of hold your, like, you know, I always tell him, like, you know what I mean? Like, hold your water, bro. Like, hold it. You know what I mean? Like, just sit there because that guy's not going to take off and go if you're sitting there. Right. So you can kind of play games with him and do that kind of thing and over the middle. I mean, look, it's a game changer when those guys can kind of play the game within the game, you know what I mean? And sync and start to bait. And you know what I mean? Like, hey, I want, like, you know, when you run it this time, I'm doing this, when you run it this time, but it's still all within the system. I think that's what's great about it is it allows, you know, it gives your guys wiggle room to kind of play within the system itself. And that's where I think, especially geared towards where you are, where there's so many athletes that have physical abilities that most times we just overcoach this shit. And it's like, dude, just go out there and do what you do. That's right. Within this framework, right? Like you're not holding them to like, hey, it's got to be this way, or you got to hammer on this, because we all know like in a game itself, that stuff changes. You know, like you can game plan all week for one thing and then get in a game and it's like, coach, this guy's doing all of this stuff, right? And it's like, it might not even be by design because that's just what happens in high school football. Not everybody's a 5-star out there that understands the game itself.
There's no doubt. And like even here, like you see 3, it's just about showing up in the run game, right?
Right.
Nick's there. I mean, he's right there. Like go back a
100%.
little bit. Like right here, walking down, run, boom, fit it. I mean, 7 makes the tackle, but Nick's there.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
You talk about baiting guys, coach. Here's
Because look, I played. I'll always reference this. Like I was fortunate enough, and this is college, right? But I played with a middle linebacker that he could cover that middle hole in a cover two, no doubt. Like he could run with the back right down the middle. I mean, he would sink. He would be under digs. You know what I mean? So it allowed me as the safety now to play a certain type of way, knowing that. Like my man in the middle was good. Like we were okay. You know what I mean? Like I had no issues. So I just allowing guys to now look, he was also 100 tackle guy 3 years of college football. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like he was just a cover middle linebacker, which and wasn't personnel. It allowed him to stay on the field, whether we were base, whether we were nickel, whether we were dime, like whatever it was. He was always a guy that was like, okay, you can play this, right? And I think in high school, you have some of those guys that are your tweeners or your more athletic guys that can cover, but they can also, you know, play tackle to tackle as linebackers. I just think we've seen the game transition. I mean, look at your, you know, your Manasquan teams, right? Like they were built to stop the run, right? And that's just kind of what it was. But you look at it now, and a lot of defenses are structured where those old school outside linebackers that used to have neck rolls and do all those things, like they're more like safeties or DBs now, you know, where that's why I think a lot of guys have gone to that, you know, almost 3-4, or they've gone to 4-2-5s, or they're personnelling it a lot more. Because at the high school level, to fit your typical 4-3, 4 big mollies up front, right? 3 downhill linebackers. Like, I just don't think kids are built like that. And they're sure as hell not coached like that. You know, with the world of 7-on-7 and flag, a lot more guys are covering than they are tackling.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt. I mean, like I said, like going back to your point before about baiting, I mean, this end of the half right here, he baits this throw.
Oh, yeah. Boom. Lights out. Good. And those are like, that's it. And look, I want to preface this. The hardest tackle to make is an open field tackle like that, where a guy has two-way go, right?
Yep.
Offensive coordinators teach, throw it out to the swing, throw it to the RPO, let us take that matchup of one-on-one in space, because we think our guys can make that happen every single time. I think it's why stressing, you know, vice tackling and rally to the ball and all those kind of things, because one-on-one in space, there's no worse feeling in the world as a DB than seeing that, right? Because you have a two-way go, it's one miss and you're out the gates. It's hard to coach that though, right? Because just with the time we have and all of those kind of things. Talk about that a little bit, Coach. I'd love to hear your take on tackling itself and kind of what goes into how you teach your tackling. You know, what are you doing from, you know, a structure standpoint? How much a week do you tackle? I know you're going to a new spot now and whatnot, but like, how do you kind of, in your perfect world for a DC, you know, how would you teach tackling up, and how often would you do it?
I mean, so we do, Tuesday is our tackle circuit day. So we're going to do 3 stations. We'll rotate them. We get the garbage cans out. We do profile fit. It's almost like a conditioning drill for one of them. The other one's going to be either the vice tackle, like you said, or we'll do some type of.
I love that. I use that. Not the country. I use that for absolutely everything. Like our premise on everything we do tackling wise is a vice, and it's how our special teams are structured. Right. We directional punt, directional kick, all into a vice where you're here, you're the point. Like it's how we structure the entire program around vice tackling. So it's, you know, it's familiarity. The guys get it every set they do, no matter what. I think it's just something that's, you know, we really drilled it home last year, and I'll tell you what, it eliminated a lot of big plays on our end, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that we do that, and then we'll do something with the ring where we do some block destruction with the hand shield, and then fit. And then the third station will always be, we take the agile pad, and then we get them in a 6-point stance, and we, you know, go right shoulder, we roll, gator roll, and then we'll have a cone 5 yards off the line. They have to drive the bag through the cone. So what it's doing is it's giving your body muscle memory for when you make contact, that you're not doing this and falling off. So that, and then really not in the spring, what I also like to do, I usually do this Wednesdays, is
love how
we'll
you
get the high jump mat.
Spring, by the way. Yeah, must be nice spring.
Yeah, I know. We get the high jump mat, and we'll have the kids take their helmets off, hold a hand shield, and just full on right shoulder tackle. take the guy to the mat. So like, again, kids that haven't done it before, they get the feeling of
This
making
is what
the actual, or if kids that haven't got hit before, this is what it is. So like, I'm very much because to me, like, we're going to hit an inside run, whether it's stud or full. We're going to obviously hit in team, whether it's stud or full. So like, I'm all about teaching the techniques with minimal contact on the body. And we've been successful, implementing that system. I've been doing it now for 8 years. So, but Tuesday tackle circuit. And then in the spring, we'll do something on something Wednesdays. But, with the technology today, like,
it's stupid. It's awesome.
We'll coach it on film. Like let's get reps. Especially when we get into the fall down here, the freaking thunderstorms and the rain, and
you just never know.
We could get rained out 3 days in a row in game week. You know what I mean? And we're just walking through in the gym, and but it's like we got to go, we got to move. And that's a testament to the head coach and how we organize practice and the periods that we're going to do. But coaches got to be on point. Like I'm fortunate enough, I got to hire my staff. So I got three former players of mine that are going to be working with me, and I'm super excited because I want those guys to go on and be coordinators someday. So
it's our job, man.
Yep. So to answer your question, that's kind of how we do it.
Do you teach what is the angle and style that you teach from a tackle standpoint? Are you using the rugby tackling style?
Yeah.
When you're front facing on the side, are you doing and then you're gator rolling if you
behind? Yeah, we're all leveraged. Like I talked about it about like guys will come watch practice and I'll have the DBs with their helmets off doing tackles on the mat, and it's like, well, why do we need a helmet? We're not using our head, right? Because they look at you like you're crazy.
Well, especially for the heat down there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like that just adds another level.
But yeah, it's all leverage based. Yeah, it's all leverage based. Near foot, near shoulder. And one thing we do is like we'll do pursuit at the end of practice because I want them doing it when they're kind of drained. So we'll do a 5 to 7 minute because again, we stress havoc, we stress relentless pursuit to the football. So we're going to do it when the kids are a little bit. So now when we get to the fourth quarter, it's nothing to those guys.
Right. And especially the athletes, right? Like they got to be running and moving and going and on a constant basis. Like they're coming from space, right? They're not just sitting, waiting and, playing for what you see too. Cause I'm sure majority of the teams you see are some type of spread, whether it be 3 wide, 4 wide, you know what I mean? Like this isn't, I'll keep referencing Manasquan, but this ain't, 9 bodies in the box and bang away and here we go. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a little bit of different of a style of football down in South Florida. Like that, you got to be able to run. And again, with the heat and all that stuff, I mean, mandatory water breaks in the first quarter, right? Like you have to be conditioned like that. Camp in Florida is very different than camp in New Jersey. Like,
let me tell you, my first camp when I was at Gulf Coast High School, I remember it was July 2015. We first moved down. I stepped on the field, man. Shit. It was like that pork roll and egg on the freaking grill, man. I was smoked.
No, I'm but it's something that like my buddy that's in at American Heritage talks about it all the time. He's like, Derek, it's just a different type of thing you have to deal with. But these guys are so conditioned and used to it. It's not such a shell shock. Their bodies have done this for years and years and years. I mean, you're talking about it right now. Like your kid's gonna go out and practice 2 nights a week for tackle football like next week. You know what I mean? Like they're in it, ready to go. That aspect of the conditioning, when we say conditioning, it's different down there. It's why, a lot of teams, NFL teams going to play Miami or Jacksonville in September is a different beast, right? Like going down there and playing the University of Miami in college or when teams come from camps and whatnot that aren't that humidity of South Florida and all that, like it's different. And your bodies need to understand that. Coaches need to understand that when they're planning it out and conditioning, because you can't be on the field for 3 hours just going through it full gear. Like, not how it works.
We didn't do that when I was playing and coaching at Manasquan. Coach Kaboo never wanted to be on the field for more than an hour and 45 minutes.
Quality over quantity, right? Like
absolutely.
you have to be structured The guy that I think does it the best is, Monken at West Point. The structure of his practices and what they have to get done in a short period of time, just based off of all of the other stuff that goes on for being a cadet at West Point. The efficiency with which his staff and everybody operates, and the players are so programmed to kind of how they go from segment to segment to segment to just ripping through reps. You know what I mean? Still getting, an astronomical amount of plays within a small window, and Dave can attest to this. Like we implemented the go routes. We bought the go routes, oh my God, like easily like have chopped off time and amount of like, just because the kids now can just, it's right there on their wrist and they're good to go. It's around their waists. You know what I mean? You're not running back to the huddle and, flipping through cards and whatever. The efficiency with which, practices now run and the structure to it. It's just been an absolute game changer. I hope more guys invest in it. Dave utilized it for his youth team, and he loves them, right, and whatnot. It's just a really good aspect.
We use the and I've used it for my son because I coach the flag football team. I got a Coach Pad sponsorship with Coach Pad 2 years ago, the AFCA, and we use it for practice scripts. I use it to draw plays up for flag football.
It's the best.
Yeah, Jason, those guys do a great job. But
I just put the plays on their wrist in flag and
for our 7-on-7 club, it's what we do, right? Like the kids look at the wristband, and
I bring the kids over in the huddle, and there's some guys that you get the dads that think they're Lincoln Riley and Steve Spurrier with this guy. One guy a couple of years ago had like a play sheet like the size of Sean Payton's in the AFC Championship game. It was like 7 U flag. I'm like, come on, bro. Like what are we doing?
Coach, we talk about it all the time, especially like
right in their wrist and go.
When we run our our flag leagues and whatnot in the summer and stuff up in Middletown, and it's just
God bless you. God bless your souls.
Oh, listen, Coach Shoes really, after coaching in high school for so long, and then him making that transition to youth football a couple of years ago, I think for him, and I don't want to speak for him, but he'll attest that youth football is a different animal.
I noticed the picture in the preview. His hair was a lot darker and less gray before he got into the youth football space.
That might have been just because I was dyeing it back then.
Yeah.
I had the just for men. I had the just for men look. I would love to blame it on that, but I think I had the just for men look.
We have these kids. Derek, we have these youth kids like posting edits that they're transferring different youth programs.
Yeah, no doubt.
What are we
There's
doing?
no doubt.
That's crazy.
And here's the other thing too. I know, and it's something that's starting to come in the private school world a little bit up here in Jersey, is that the NIL stuff that has trickled to high school. And I know Florida is a state it's legal. Like you can do it. There's some parameters, but
yeah, go ahead.
I just look like, you want to look at like first example, like you look at Malachi Tony, who's now, you look at his NIL deal at Miami. He's a year removed from high school, still should be in high school, right? Kid should be walking in his graduation in a month, but instead is probably one of the best receivers in all of college football.
Yeah.
And it's now trickling down because those guys, I'm just telling you, like, and now their NIL deal, now it's like, okay, well, I got this in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do I transition? And look, I know you can't use school logos, or you can't use it for transferring purposes or whatever. They want to put some of that rhetoric in there, but look, you get that third uncle that all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Like here we go. It's just crazy.
It's funny you mentioned, so like, I got to say one of the few things that the state organization down here has done is they've made the parameters of that for high school extremely difficult. Like you got to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to do it.
Which it should be. Like that's how.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And then like
you'll get your time to get paid, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I understand it, but for being a good high school football player, all of a sudden you're making like a couple grand doing whatever, or hey, it's going to turn into this. Like, let's keep the focus on the football stuff.
High school got to stay more like college used to be prior to all this, stuff.
No doubt. No doubt.
But like, it's just,
and you talk to a lot of high level coaches that are in it, You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're telling me NC State ain't dealing with it, like we're turning a blind eye, right? I mean,
Yeah. You know,
certain institutions obviously have certain things about it, right? And some of the parameters and whatnot. I mean, I think Dabo is one of the most vocal on like, hey, this transfer world and all this kind of shit. Like, we're not playing this game or whatnot.
Yep.
Go tamper and do whatever you want, but I'm going to call you out on it. Like, even that in itself, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a different world that we're kind of dealing with.
It is, you know, but like I said, you know, I was funny. I was talking. My wife was talking about my brother-in-law is the assistant head coach at Wake Forest, and
right. And look at that. Like, you know, here you are, Wake Forest.
They've done a phenomenal job. You know, Coach Dickert and the staff have done a great. We went up for the Duke Mayo Bowl this year.
Oh, that's awesome. One of my favorite bowls, by the way.
Yeah,
because,
that was good.
Like, you're getting a bunch of mayo dumped on you for.
I was saying to her, I referenced like Ed O'Bannon back, you know, when we were in high school.
Right.
And I said, all they had to start doing was if you put a jersey out there with, you know, Schumann on the back, you give them a cut or, you know, whatever. And then with the video games, give them a cut, you know, but then it just built up and built up and built up over years, you know.
When they started paying the guys for NCAA football, like that was the really kind of like the big transition to like, okay, this is going to turn into a business real quick. I mean, look, you remember guys getting fined for like giving kids like a bagel with cream cheese, like, you know what I mean? Like all this, the crazy little nonsense. And now we're looking at deals that rival first round draft picks. Like, why not,
and that's why guys are, they're staying in college. But one of the best lines I heard from Ed Orgeron on a podcast was the bag man used to come through the back door. Now he just walks in the front door.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
there's no doubt. I mean, it's the movie Blue Chips before it was, right? Like,
you know,
I mean, tractor. Like a tractor?
The tractor, Neon Bedeau, get in the car, you know, all that stuff.
Fully loaded Lexus.
Fully loaded Lexus. Yeah. But speaking of, you know, I've started a podcast like 2 weeks ago. I'm almost at 600 subscribers, which is awesome. Putting content out there for my defense, trying to get high level guys on to talk about. Like today at 11, I'm releasing the podcast with Tony Anise, who's the head coach at Ferris State, who's won. I mean, gazillion national championships. Guy's been successful everywhere he's been. So, and then, you know, I got a bunch of guys still, like Jason Mons I talked to, who's the tight ends coach at Arizona State. You know, he's going to come on, and Coach Brown will be on, and a bunch of other guys. I don't want to spoil the surprises yet, but I got some really good guys coming up, and it's cool because it's like,
no, it's awesome because I'm just following your guest list, and everybody that you have on, like, I'm just sending a message to, like, hey, buddy, like, come on, because I'd like to further the conversation. It's awesome. It's something that Dave and I have talked about. Like, guys are so willing to come on and talk. Like, it's not like we're all holding secrets and we don't want to like our guests across the board, coaches, strength guys, like whoever we want to get on, they want to come on and have that conversation and talk, you know, about it, right? It's another avenue now where it's one of those things that social media has really, really aided in helping and kind of done a really awesome service for all of us. Because look, even you posting like the amount of content and stuff, like, and for what like Dave posts, you know what I mean, across all the social media networks, like it just allows guys to get really good information, you know, and then they can go and use it, or they don't have to, right? Because we take something or not from everybody. I just love it that everybody has the ability, if they want to, take that next step and produce the content and put it out there for everyone.
100%. It's great.
Quick question, Coach. So you were talking earlier about the going back to the defensive stuff on the trap defense. What do you do as far as like with trips? Do you take your backside safety and poach the front side? Do you have him? Do you do multiple things with him where he plays down low on the one receiver side and Rob's over there? What do you do with that when you get like stuff like trips or multiple receivers to one side?
I mean, we'll do. Yeah, I mean, like we'll do a couple different things. Like obviously, we don't want to stress out the guys that can't run with three down the middle if he goes vertical, or if we get switch verts, right? So we're going to pressure based on formation. We'll trap it where, you know, we'll have an inside pressure where the Viper but the nickel will run with 2, and we'll push the rover, the middle safety, to run with 3, and then still trap the backside 2 over 1. So we're 4 over 3, 2 over 1. Also, we can make a box call where we play a trap technique with the corner, and now the Viper is going to sit almost kind of similar to like just a straight cover 2 drop. And then we're basically push the rover down over 3 and keep the safety over 1. So we call it box. So It's not true trap. It's kind of like a combo trap and zone. So those are just kind of a couple of things that we'll do to 3x1 open.
Really interesting. Do you ever bring like pressure from your safeties at all, and then like replace coverage with that, or
yeah,
and
that's
okay.
Go ahead, coach.
No, would you do that out of like more out of spread set situations? Would you do that at more like more tight situations like 2 tight ends or 1 tight end situations?
I think the condensed stuff you need to pressure. Whether it's like we used to call it squeeze at Manasquan, we get the like 10 personnel tight squeeze. 11P, absolutely, but I think it's where you want to add your extra gap, because it's like if they put a hat in the core, you have to match it some way. But again, I go back to the point I made before about presentation, is we're going to run a ton of simulated stuff to confuse the guys up front. Obviously, gap scheme, zone scheme, they'll be, because again, and we're big into stemming. So like, you're an O lineman, you have your rule on power, you have your rule on zone, you have your rule on trap, you have your rule on counter. Well, what happens when that guy that you're supposed to double team now moves 2 gaps away, and now the ball's snapped? Right. So that's kind of that's always been my philosophy with this, is like have an ever-changing picture, but also too, like, we're going to give you the same look and have 5 or 6 different pressures out of it. So you can't say, hey, they're in this front, this is all you're getting. It's just like the offensive guy that has 8 million formations and runs 4 plays. I still have to be able to have my kids line up to it, right? But now I'm flipping the script, right? I'm going Cobra Kai on them, right? I'm gonna give you one look, but have 5 or 6 different things out of it. So now you have to spend extra practice time,
no doubt,
getting ready for it.
No doubt.
I saw. So this year, like we do a podcast.
And I love that.
We do a podcast with where we cut, like I played at UConn, and we cover like UConn football and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we like, they tried to do a lot of like, I don't know if it's exactly I don't know if it's a 3 safety defense or not, but they would do a lot where they would try to roll the safety down either late to rob or to bring some sort of pressure, and they would get caught sometimes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I was trying to figure out like what would be a better solution to what they were doing. Like there were certain games, I mean, they had a really good year, but I felt like sometimes they would, and it may have been a limitation on the defensive backs. You know what I'm saying? Obviously at the higher levels, sometimes you have limitations as far relative to everybody else. You know what I mean? Like obviously if you're high school players, they would be studs, but relative to everyone else, maybe they had some limitations, which is maybe why they were doing it. And probably in front and in defensive line space, that might have been the case. But they would try to so mask and bring like one of the safeties down late, and they would get caught a lot with like power read and some versions of that. They would get themselves caught.
Sure.
And then and be like, I don't want to say they were out of position, but either late to the party and they would get gashed. And sometimes they would do that, and then people would bring 3 back across, meaning low, middle, high to that one safety side with the one corner, right? If they were trying to trap or something, and they would get caught. What are like some? And it's kind of a 2-part question. What are some solutions that you think they could, in those kind of situations, they could have done to be able to handle that kind of like power read type of offense, and then be like 3 receivers coming back where they can get caught in a situation where they're outnumbered?
Well, the first part to me, power read is, are you gonna rotate that safety, that jet side? They're gonna give you a jet right off for the power read, most likely.
Right, exactly.
Right. So are you, like, to me, it's like, okay, well, let's 3 buzz it. let's take that field safety, buzz him down. All right, let him take the jet. And I'm all about the mesh charge at the end. Like, I'm going right for the freaking mesh. All right. And then we'll wrap the mic, around. And then if you have that, if you're 3 down, they're probably going to end up arcing to 4-eye. So he has to be your mesh charge guy. Or if you're going to send the nickel, right, as the quarterback player, and then you still buzz your safety down for the jet. And then that middle safety can sit to kind of clean everything up. Like if you're 4 down, there's really not a whole. I mean, you can simulate, right? Basically, if they're on the hash, you can drop that boundary end and play like invert 2. Drop the end and the corner bails into the half, and you can push that safety as the robber. That boundary safety becomes the robber. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to the trip stuff, to me, it's like just be 4 over 3. Now you don't have to stay like that, but to me, it's like, okay, pre-snap presentation, right? If a coach goes trips open with a back with a loaded set with 4 strong, he probably wants to fake the inside zone and bang the hitch to number 3. Well, let me be 4 over 3 or 5 over 4 with the mic and just say, okay, well, you're not doing that. All right, now you want to hand the ball off, because again, to me, the RPO coach doesn't want to hand the ball off. They want to pull it. They want to get it to the pitch guy. They want to get it on the perimeter.
Yeah, they want to get him in. They want to get a guy. They want to get their athlete in space against your guy in space. Like that's
correct.
That's the RPO.
So that's what we try to do and discourage is like get bored handing the ball off, right?
Right.
And then you get into the thing where now we're going to simulate you. We're going to show you 4 over 3, but now on the snap, here comes something that you're not ready for.
Right.
Now, so coach, you would die on the sword of, look, if you want to hand the ball off 70 times a game, mm-hmm. go ahead and do it. Right.
Absolutely.
Because you're banking on that OC not being able to, hold his water and kind of go and just do that over and over and over. They're not going.
And again, you're talking about a high school football team. Let's say we have a good kicker. All right. And they start at the 20. There's no way they're going 80 yards without making a mistake.
No doubt. And that's something that when I put on the defensive hat, it's always kind of what it is like, I want to make you, like, if you're that good to drive, to put together, series after series, play after play, if you're a team that can go first down, second down, third down, first down, all the way down the field and create drives, mm-hmm. kudos to you. Because
100%.
As a DC, coaching high school football, like, there's going to be a holding penalty. Someone's jumping off sides. Somebody's screwing up somewhere. Like, I don't think most high school teams are good enough to create drives and put it all together on a consistent basis where you're going to get us play after play after play after play. I'm going to make you drive that football, right? You're going to have to do that. That's why I think the premise of eliminating explosive plays is so big in high school football, and then tackling. Like, you have to be able to tackle the guy with the ball. Yeah,
the explosive play thing, I think, is for every level, right? Like, and again, it's how you define it, right? We're 15 plus. That's how we define an explosive play. Run and pass. Yep. So, and then we talk about S plus T minus X. So sacks plus turnovers minus explosive plays equals wins for us. So X plus T minus X equals W. That's what we talk about. And if you go and do the math, and I learned this from Eric Chenandler when he was at UCF, he's at Boise State now. If you have a sack on a drive, there's a 93% chance that team's punting the ball.
Wow.
So you talk about
a sack on a drive, equals 90% that they're
93% chance that they're going to punt the ball. And you talk about guys that get impatient, right? That you take away the one, like, the guy's going to want to take a shot, and now you're
no doubt.
And again, we're not a zero pressure, praying to God that we get there. Like, we're trapping you, we're Tampa, we're fire zone, and we're match 3, we're bracketing. Like, we're going to try to have our best answer for what we're going to see. But and again, we stress the havoc rate stuff and.
Yeah. I know you. I remember when you put that out a couple years ago. Your havoc rate and that formula that it was created. Have it great
Explain
was
that?
yeah. Explain it again, Coach, because I think a lot of guys would love it, like when they really kind of see what it is.
It's not mine. Coach Brown came up with it. I asked him if I could use it, and he gave me the blessing to do it. So,
Don Brown, dude.
Yep.
He is on a whole different level. I remember sitting in the clinic listening to him in Greenwich, Connecticut, right? And these guys, you looked around the room, and he was talking X's and O's, and it was like foreign language. Some of these youth guys are in there looking around, going, "What the hell is he talking about?" You know what I mean? Because he's just such a savant. Dude, it was hilarious. I'm telling you, these dudes were like, I'm hungover and now I'm in, this is like AP chemistry. Like, what are we doing here? Because he was up there and he was firing away, you know what I mean? Like talking about all of his stuff. So, and I know he used this a lot when he was at Michigan with Jabril, right? Because Jabril was such an X factor, Jabril Peppers. He could do so many things. And obviously guys like Rashawn Gary, who you see are now in the league, right? Like I'm referencing the Jersey Cats, but he always kind of had those extra athletes somewhere on the field to create this havoc, right? Which is now he turned it into a legit formula. Which go ahead, Coach, explain it a little bit.
Yeah. So for the game, you take your sacks, your TFLs, your interceptions, your fumbles caused, and your third down stops, and you divide it over the total number of snaps you're on the field for that game.
So sacks, TFLs, INTs, fumbles caused, and what was
third
the last
down
one?
stops? Third down stops.
Third down stops. Right. And you divide that over.
So if you're on the field for
snaps.
If you're on the field for 50 snaps, that's what you divide it by.
How many, and I know you see a lot of spread, speed, fast, right? As a defense on average, what are you seeing? How many snaps is your defense getting a game? High school-wise, obviously.
I mean, honestly.
Because I always think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Right? I've talked about it with Dave. As an offense, how many plays do we get? Because that's where, or how many drives where we get. I think for us this year, we were almost like, I think it was almost 5 to 6 drives, maybe a half, if that sounds right. And
you got to get Bill to get his stuff together, man. You guys should have 9 or 10 drives on offense, bro.
Dude, I'm telling you, buddy. Like
that's my guy. That's my guy.
Oh, he's the best. He's literally one of the best, man. A man squad guy.
He's a good dude.
It's awesome. People were shell shocked when they're like, "Wait, this guy's won how many state championships in basketball?" And he's your OC. I'm like, yeah, that's why we're Look, it's really awesome to see guys that can do multiple things like that. He's a good dude,
man.
Really good dude.
But we try to ideally under 60 for us, because once you get over 60, that's when bad stuff happens.
No doubt.
What
about you, Dave? How many drives were you seeing youth football wise? Like,
a lot.
Because you play what? You play 4 quarters, correct?
4 quarters. I think.
How long?
8
minutes.
8 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
We would easily. I mean, even though that it's running clock, we.
Oh, it is. I didn't know that either. I didn't know it was
running clock. But we would be in a situation where we probably. I'm trying to think now. We would probably be able to get at least, even in the games that we like when we played in like that championship game.
Right.
I would say even there, we probably still got six drives and a half at minimum. Right. But that team slowed it down. Maybe we had 5 in that. They slowed us down a lot. But usually we probably would be at least 8, maybe
8 to 10.
I would say 8. But by the time we were on the 5th drive, it was usually over in a lot of those cases.
Right.
Because we were up a lot of times, just the levels of different teams. But we could easily get 8 drives. And if we were like a regular high school game, I would say, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we move really fast. We're really, really fast. Like,
which I think that's probably what you see a lot of, right, PJ? Is you see spread, no huddle, on the ball, we're going.
We see.
Am I wrong in thinking about that?
We see more hurry up and wait. Like
hurry up, get to the line of scrimmage, look over to the sideline.
Do you find that easier to stop, or do you find that hurry up. I seen.
It's a good question. It's a really good question, Dave, because you see a lot of guys doing it.
Hurry up and stop is so slow.
It does.
Oh, you know where I was? I was at a clinic last week. I listened to TJ DiMunzio, who's the OC at Lafayette, right? He was a Monmouth guy, right? Like he did a lot of line up on the ball, look to the sideline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we're good to go. Or hey, you're good, or hey, no, we're gonna change it up. So on the flip it on the other side, TJ, right? PJ, do you understand? Look, I got TJ and PJ mixing them up now. Do you check when they check, or do you just, you know what I mean? Like, how does that work with you? Like, because that's high school wise, like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to be attention to detail oriented if you're going to play that chess game.
Yeah, I mean, we're more because we're so formationally based in what we do. It really, for me, it's like, where's the ball on the field and what's the down and distance? Because we'll have a plan for, hey, if it's 2x2 open, 3x1 open, if it's 20 personnel, if it's 11P, like we'll practice those pressures and fronts all week. And really for us, if we're going to see a team that that is like really up tempo, I go back to what I learned from like Coach Cahill and Coach Price when we were getting ready for Edgerly at RBC. Is we'll have multiple huddles, or we'll set up multiple sets of garbage cans and just move down the field, because Frank was so up tempo. My last few years in Jersey when we played against them, we would have 2 huddles ready, with the scout team. So that's kind of the plan. But like I said, we're so formationally based. Like, really, are they formation into the boundary? Are they on the hash? What's the down and distance? And that's going to dictate what we'll call. And the thing is, we're so one word call oriented. Like Seattle means, the front, the pressure, the coverage. Like, I don't have to call 8 million things. Like, the kids know. Like, we call Raiders, this is what it is. We call Star Wars, this is what it is. Like, they know. Because that's how we practice it all week.
Right.
Interesting. Do you use any tags ever, like tagging a guy that you want to go in a situation, or do you keep it structured like that you based off of your one call?
I've done it, but really we've just kind of done. We just kind of do what we do. Unless they flip something where, like, we don't want to flip guys, then it'll be an auto check where that guy on the other side now will go, as opposed to into the boundary or whatever. Like one of our pressures into the boundary is Vortex. Vortex is for the Viper, and we have a twist game, and we play robber coverage behind it. And then, the tag, if they were to shift the formation to the field, we could go Panther, which is the same pressure, but it's the passing string to the field. So that's just the difference.
I was thinking, like, with teams that do the no huddle, where they come to the line and then they check and look over. My thought process was that, like, if you are equal athletically with them, at least, or better, that over the course of the game, that puts a lot on the quarterback, to me. Like, not that
it does.
You know what I mean? So defensively, anytime you throw start to throw a couple wrinkles, he starts to see, to me, maybe see shadows on this stuff, because
seeing ghosts.
He's relying so much on the check, right? From the OC, and the OC to be the genius, quote unquote, instead of being able to execute, going through your reads. You know what I'm saying? Like. Right. I'm just curious your thoughts on that. Like, because to me, like, as a guy who was once more of a defensive guy, is like, I would love for a team to stand there and turn and check. That was huge with Oklahoma. Was that Lincoln Riley or Stoops?
Lincoln. No, that was Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, that was huge with him for a long time. I don't know if he does that anymore at USC. but for a long, bless you. But for a long time, that was huge with him. I remember that right there. That was like a big thing.
Well, I also think too, especially at the high school level, Dave,
right? Have adapted to that.
I want to think that the philosophy is like, hey, I'd rather put the onus on, myself as the coach making the call, rather than on a 16-year-old high school kid out there trying to do this, do that, whatever. Now, obviously, as you get to the higher levels, right, even in that aspect, to ask that guy to make the right check or make the right call, no matter how much you present, no matter how much you coach it up and put them in those situations. Like, that's still really, really hard within a game situation.
I feel like it should be
bullets are flying.
Thing. Yeah.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
Or, hey, if we get this look, right, and this is kind of what it is. But even with that, like you said, coach, like it's disguise. We're doing this. We're moving. We're changing.
They don't even know what you're doing anyway.
100%.
And now you're going to. I don't like about it. Like, you don't even know what they're doing. And in college, I get it more because you watch so much film, right? And you watch so much film, and the coaches watch so much film. Maybe there's a good amount of instances they get themselves into a better play. Maybe not. I think defense have adapted on that. I think in high school, if you're doing something like what you do, where you're disguising stuff, and they don't really know what's going on, and they might just check right into an interception. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they don't know exactly what you're running anyway on defense, and it's a disguise-based defense. I feel like it works best against a very vanilla team. You know what I mean? That kind of defensively, like a very vanilla defense. But teams with athletes and people that have people coming from all over the place, you don't know where they're coming from.
You're creating craziness. You're creating chaos in an already chaotic thing. You're just doubling down on it. Like,
I'll leave you guys with this because I got to run to another meeting. But
you're big time now, PJ.
No. This is not big time.
I'm teasing.
I'm just a slap from Lakewood Road in Manasquan, New Jersey.
You're all right, buddy.
So, like, kind of what we do and what is we're always going to get that press too high look. So you can try to check whatever you want. Like, we're post snap rotation to whatever we do, unless it's like third and a mile. So, but yeah, I mean, it's whatever works. Like, I'm not going to stress over it. Our kids are going to be prepared. I think it's when you feel the pressure is when you're not prepared. And I think it's when the heart rate goes up. I think that's, when you're not prepared, that's paramount. But I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I got advisory board member I got to meet with here.
Go do it.
Congrats
on the new position, man. All the stuff that you've been doing, it's awesome. It's good to see you. Obviously, if there's anything we could ever do, or you know what I mean, like whenever we want to hop on and
let's subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's subscribe to the Coach Gibbs Defense Lab.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Coach. You need to.
Yeah, Coach Gibbs Defense Lab on YouTube. Subscribe to it, and any 3 safety stuff, the fbcoachgibbs.com, or hit me up at my email, pgibbs8424@gmail, and we'll roll.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Coach, for coming on. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Brother.
All right, good.
It's always, I love it. I
a lot of great questions.
I also, like, I think it's just such a, I don't know. It's a new spin on a defense, right? I'm sure guys have always tried to play with it or whatever. I'm not saying it's like the end all be all of like what I would go to and do it based off of like, the teams you play and all that kind of stuff. Like, I love it as a wrinkle. Yeah. It's a great it's something extra, something different, right? That can really kind of just give a different picture to an offense. And again, talking about personnel and getting guys involved, like if you're more of a, if the skill sets and all that, it warrants more of those types of guys on the field based off of like what you're going to see, then, it's a great, thing to have. Like, why wouldn't you want to do it? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I think it's a good defense. There's multiple looks. It's very difficult in high school to handle.
Oh gosh, yeah. Coaches don't know how to handle it because they've never seen it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those. Oh, what is that? What is that?
Well, it looks like something, but it's not. So,
and because you're constantly moving, like we talk about that all the time, right? Like that post-snap movement or even pre-snap, like show this picture, but then this is what you're ultimately going to be at when you're all said and done. Like, again, that messes with a quarterback and a coach, like some of those guys are looking out there going, I don't know what I'm saying. Like, I think there's 3 safeties out there, but this one ends up here. So what are we doing?
Right. No, there's no.
But I do love all the trap stuff, dude, because you know what I mean. Like I said, it puts the corners at the line of scrimmage. you know, they can go and now be overly aggressive, but still, you know, whatever, because most high school kids can't make that deep throw to the outside one, right, on a consistent basis, where you're always going to have that safety over top to kind of help or get there late. Some coaches aren't even going to coach that. Like, hey, they're not going to, like, you know, how many high school quarterbacks can throw that hole shot, you know, to that back shoulder and pin it before the safety gets there coming off a hash? Like, that's a hard throw, no doubt. But so the trap stuff is really, you know what I mean? Like, I love it.
Yeah, I think it's really good stuff. I think it's really interesting. I think it works really well in high school. It's yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. It's a really it's a difficult defense to handle. I mean, like when you're moving and you're putting people in positions and QBs are thinking it's something and it's not. It does.
Right.
It makes it much more difficult. You know, there are people obviously that are of the philosophy like we're just going to line up right and keep our certain things and not worry about coverage part as much. Like we're going to play these coverages and that's it, and everything's going to be according. Like our front is where we're going to do everything. So it's but
which
yeah,
was more so the case. You know what I'm saying? It used to be that. Right? Like the front controlled everything you did kind of in the back end, where we're seeing a little bit of that kind of change where now kind of the back end is dictating what you're going to do up front a little bit more. Right. So it's kind of changed the point of view, you know, with the adaptation.
I'm going to have to get them away from the whiteboard and flag.
It's funny. I mean, before you got on, he was referencing like his son is going to do tackle for the first time this year.
Oh, cool.
And
how old is his son?
He
must be younger. He must be
he's definitely younger than yours. But they start like this week. Like they go 2 nights a week in the spring and then play, like they have like 3 scrimmages towards the end of it before summer hits. So he'll get a taste of it. It's just funny to talk about that, like in Florida, like their youth teams are starting practice already. Like it's awesome.
That's pretty that's funny. It's amazing.
I know.
It's a totally different yeah, it's just a different world. It really is. I find it. I'm just watching like the NFL Combine, like
the times are crazy.
Majority of where these guys come from, you know. I don't know if they put out the numbers of it, but I'm sure the majority must.
Oh, it's the fastest combine in history.
And a lot of those guys were from either Southern schools or from the South, or, you know, or
they literally talked about this being the fastest draft or the fastest across the board, the fastest combine in the history of it. Right. I mean, we're talking guys shattering things, big dudes really moving fast. And I think it pertains to like obviously the focus on strength and conditioning, and you know these guys that are here now have literally been doing this stuff since they were in middle school, you know. So
well, I think the training effect. So yes, they obviously are faster. But
just the emphasis on it has been
the training effect is a huge difference.
No doubt.
You know, it's funny because when Lorenzo, what's Ball the basketball guy's first name?
Lorenzo Ball?
The father. Was it Lorenzo Ball? The father?
No. I don't know the father's name.
But
I thought Lorenzo was one of the kids, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. When he came out and you know that whole thing when they were coming out and everyone's like, this guy's like what he was doing with his kid, I guess you would say it's like maybe 10 years ago, you know, like he was like, you know, everyone's like, oh my goodness, dude. I mean, people now 100% are openly explain like that's what they've been doing and preparing for. You saw it when they interviewed Lorenzo and Sonny Styles, his mother.
Well, if you look at Amon St. Brown's dad, who was, you know,
oh yes,
like,
he's the biggest.
Well, he just
did very well. I would say
he was just because he's been dealing with it for his entire life, right? Because he talks about 9 years old is your point of no return. You pick your sport at 9 years old and you run with it, right? Like he was just on the pivot podcast.
Yeah, I watched.
Yeah, so I listened to him speak on it. It was
It's very
like his
if
point
you
of view
think
is
about
different.
if you think about yourself, like I try to think about myself, right, or yourself, and the difference is like even though obviously football was your favorite sport, you played multiple sports. The training emphasis for football, at least with me, didn't start to really happen till almost ninth grade. I mean, I was
Yeah, no
lifting
doubt. It
in
was high
I
school.
was lifting in eighth grade, but
Well, I
but
told
ninth
you the
grade.
rule was we weren't allowed in, like you weren't allowed in the weight room until you were at least like your 8th grade season was over and you were like now a freshman, right? So that's when you kind of were allowed to go to the weight room. At least
We didn't even, and it is a long time before that was even a big thing when I was in school. So I really had to lift
right, because it was you
outside.
don't want to lift too early, you'll
Well,
stunt
I
your
lifted
growth and
outside of
all
that.
that
I
kind
went
of
to a
stuff.
gym. I was going to a gym. So like in eighth grade, I started lifting at a gym. My father went to that gym and I would lift there. And obviously I ran track was the catalyst for me, and conditioning wise was wrestling to help me get those were catalysts for it. But it wasn't a primary focus. Like it was a seasonal focus. And I guess lifting became obviously my focus towards football, right? Whereas now you're doing literally drills within your training, not just the lifting and the speed part being focused around your sport, but the drills even within your own lifting training or within your own, you know what I'm saying? Like you might do a couple of drills. It doesn't mean you have a ball in your hand, but are
Right.
more associated with like a running back, let's say, or a linebacker or a quarterback, right? You see the band drills and stuff with bands for quarterbacks and so you or lineman based stuff where you're using pads and or different types of shocking things where you're punching and those kind of drills, whether it's a med ball, just a little more focused, even within your strength or speed training, which I think is over a long period of time. My guess is that it probably begins to help. And that's the biggest thing that I think, because I think parents will all of a sudden go crazy with it, right? Like they'll see that and they'll say, I've got to, do what a St. Brown did,
Right.
with my kid, and because he's advocating like your kid could be a pro athlete too, quote unquote, right? And so what it really is, your kid can become the best athlete he can be, right?
Yep.
That I would agree with. And if you find the right people to help you, or if you're knowledgeable in that space, becoming a pro athlete will also be a cultivation of a lot of other things that some will be innate and some will be cultivated, right? So
No doubt.
like I cannot I could train a kid exactly like St. Brown although I will agree with him on this, choosing the right sport is important. Because if you're 5'3" and you decide that you want to be a pro basketball player, unless you're Muggsy Bogues, and there's been one in the history of
I was
the
going to
NBA.
say, yep. You're
One in
talking about, yep.
That means that you'd be better off playing the lottery every day, pouring $10,000 in the lottery every day than producing another Muggsy Bogues, which just
Right.
kind of in perspective for the rest of your life. Spend $10,000 a day on the lottery, the rest of your life, you still
got a
probably
better
have a better
shot.
chance of
Yep.
them being Muggsy Bogues. So whatever makes a 5'3" athlete gives them the best opportunity sport wise. You figure that out. Maybe that's it. But if you decide to be a basketball player, you might be able to. Hey, there are kids that are explosive that maybe they start in a high school basketball team at 5'3". I'm not saying that can't happen, but
right, and you
but
could have a really good career.
Could go to the next level. It's going to be real difficult, right? So,
Yes,
I think the best thing is over the long haul in overall general development of them, maybe you gearing it towards your sport. Maybe they, as long as they want to be in that area, gearing it towards sport. Now, his points about taking away choice. So I think there is an element to that is correct, meaning putting them in things, getting in the train, because it takes kids a long time to understand the training benefit for them. It's not, you you want to make it as fun as you can and all those kind of things, but it's going to take a long time, not till they literally maybe become a sophomore, junior, do they start to really even understand it. So I agree with that. You want to put them in it, even though they may not understand why this is being done, how it's going to help them directly. They will see success that probably will encourage them, but I don't know that now the element of choice,
and sometimes that
you should
in
ask.
itself,
Yeah, I think you should ask, because if you went down a path, I'll let you speak on it completely.
No, go ahead. I want you to finish.
But if you go down, I think you should continue to ask and figure out, is this the sport you want to continue hammering? Not that I think strength and conditioning and speed goes across. The great thing about it is it's any sport. I don't care if it's golf, football, basketball, tennis, whatever you put them in, it goes across it. That's the beauty of it. But I think you should continue to ask sport-wise, because that can change over time. And if you're doing strength conditioning and speed, it is a lot easier to adapt to a change in sport interest, a change in interest overall, you know what I mean? Versus, I don't know, I'm just going to have them take 100 swings or 500 swings every single day from the time they're 5 until they're 15, and that's what they're going to do. By the time they're 15, you need to keep assessing it, because along the way they may say, I don't know if this is, you could easily get a Marinovich if you don't continue to ask. He has a certain level of genetic luck associated with it, right? I mean, there's no way around it. Like, and he says it, like, obviously he breeded with, married a woman. There was
talks about it.
Yeah. So if you do that, there's a certain amount of a luck to it, in the sense that it all hit right, and now you're cultivating it. But that's the thing that, like, people got to read a little bit between the lines and some of that stuff. I do think the pivot, even though there's a lot of stuff that I love and hate the pivot, you know what I mean? But
I like that. It's an acquired taste, right? Like, some of the stuff that they look at, it's like, hey, what are we talking about here? I don't agree with some of the stuff, but like overall, I just, they ask the right questions, and they talk to, like, you know what I mean? Some of the guys that I really like to
I think they did a good job in that interview.
Oh yeah, especially, and look, and that's been a long time coming, because like Channing Crowder, like he references him a shit ton in that world, in that space of just kind of how he did it and whatnot, in terms of like raising,
and he has a kid, I guess, Channing,
if not 3. Yeah. But like, not on that, you know what I mean? And also Ryan Clark has a son who, was at, was at Arizona State, then he's at Notre Dame, like kind of in the league a little bit, like here or there, practice squad stuff. Like, I think when they talk about the parenting stuff like that, I mean, it's not their forte. It's not like what they usually talk about, but to have him on and hear his viewpoints on it, right? Because he's just so real in it. And he's like, look, yeah, like, this is how I did it. It's what I believe in, and it's how I would do it again. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a view or a way or an approach that a lot of people are willing to take,
No, he's a great St. Brown or John Brown is a great listen to, because I think it doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree. I think it's good to listen, because it gives you ideas.
It's going to make you think. Exactly. It's going to make you think about how you're going to do things or whatnot. It's also funny. I thought the best thing was, like,
kids are great students too. They weren't.
Well, that's a bit right, because look, like, he was in when he got asked to go be, I think it was what, Mr. like, because he was what, the strongest man in the world or whatever. Mr. Universe. He had to make a choice in high school of like, hey, I'm going to leave school and move to Europe to like do this, right? So like, he up and moved his kids and family, right? Like, he made that choice, and then he kind of made everything work with it. It's why his kids speak like multiple languages and whatnot. Like, they were raised like in Europe, right? And obviously, like, just some of the things that he talks about in the way he approached it, I liked it. Like, you can't be your kid's friend, and you gotta, like, sometimes really bring the hammer down, and you gotta, understand, you gotta do a little bit of research on like your part, right? Like, stop getting in the way, stop allowing like your shit to become your kid's shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do things for them, right? And take care of them, right? Rather than like hide behind, oh, it's this, or oh, it's that, or it's me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was what he kind of like, when he was summing it all up, really talked about, was like, hey man, like, you just have to be willing to believe in your kid that they can be great, and not let all these outside factors kind of deter you from really going at what you really think is the way to do it, you know?
Because outside people, this is the biggest thing. And see, I don't want to speak to you because I want you to speak on yourself for yourself. But I'll use myself as an example. It's just, I grew up very early knowing what I wanted to happen. Okay.
Right.
And I mean, that's why I always reference that wrestling was actually my best sport. It didn't matter to me that it was my best sport.
Well, I loved some of the things too that he
wanted
talked
to be
about.
A football player. You know what I'm saying?
I like that he talked about that too. When you're talking about that, like, he talked about the difference between team sports and individual sports, right? Like,
yes.
he literally said, like, I don't understand when somebody wins the 100-meter dash, like, why they're crying. It's like, well, didn't you expect to win? You know what I'm saying? Like, just that mental side of it, of like,
It's interesting.
Right. And then, you know, Ryan Clark was like, well, like, all the work that got put into it and all the sacrifices you made to get that, like, that's why they're emotional. And he's like, yeah, I get it. But like, did you like expect to lose? Like, you know, he's like, he didn't understand that. Or he was like,
his
you know,
mind is different from that standpoint.
like,
yeah,
talking about individual and team, right? He's like, yeah, like, hey, you know, football, like, he did good, but it's because that guy threw him the ball, or right? Like, it matters on the other, you know what I mean? Like, the other stuff factors into it because there's other people out there that have to do their job. In a sport like his, right, where you're like lifting weight or doing whatever, like, it's on you, right? Like, so your expectations need to be like, yeah, I'm gonna win. It's different.
I think there's a
I love that he talked about that.
I think
shit.
there's a
So
certain
funny.
part of it. It's why you see, like, yes, you have joy, right? You have joy,
Right.
but I think you're right, because if you don't come away, if you win it, if you win something, like, you win something, and people expect it, like, I don't know, anytime I've won anything pretty big, I did not ever walk away from it thinking like crying because I won. It was more like it was more like, whew, it worked. Like, that all worked.
Like a
And like,
relief.
it's not, I wouldn't, I mean, relief might be a part of it, but it wasn't that. It was more like it came together. It worked. Like, wow, that actually worked. Like it, I expected it to work. It worked. And that was great. And then I don't feel that much after it. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. And maybe because I was a wrestling track person early on in my career, and
Right.
I had
you kind of came up through the ranks in individual.
I won
sports.
so much in that, and I lost every once in a while. You know, I'd lose here and there, right? So I would know what the loss feeling was. The loss feeling was disappointment, because I think I expected to win. I was usually shocked when I lost. I was shocked. Like, if someone beat me, I remember specifically when I was in 7th grade. Yeah, I was 7th grade. And I go to this state. I hadn't lost a match all year. And no, I lost one match. It was a kid that was in a heavier weight class than I was, in a dual meet. I had lost one match all year at that point. And I was blowing through the states. I mean, blowing through it, Derek, just crushing kids. And I get to the semifinals, and I immediately take this kid down. I put him on his back. He's done. I headlock him. He's on his back, and he put a move on me. It was the first. He was nowhere near as strong as I was, nowhere near as athletic. He put a move on me that put me on my back. And before I got an opportunity to, like, he rolled me, before I got an opportunity to move, they called pin. I was shocked, Derek. I was shocked because I was certain I was winning the whole thing. Like, I mean, I was, and I took him down. I'm talking the match. I took him down, and he was on his back for 30 seconds. You know, I was just trying to finish him. You know, in the first. So I was shocked. So I remember thinking to myself that's how I viewed winning and losing. Like, I really expected to win most of the time and usually was shocked. Now, when I would go to nationals in track, that was where I started to learn a little bit about like some levels. Like, I was good enough to make the finals, but there were dudes that was the first time I really had to deal with like, wow, there might be guys more talented than me. And your mind shifts to, I got to give everything I have to give myself an opportunity. So
No doubt.
I was trying to place, you know what I'm saying? I was trying to,
Yeah.
like, so I was like, I just remember in 8th grade, I won I had not lost a race in the 200-meter hurdles at any level that year. And I go to the nationals, and there's no finals. They're just like, because you're kind of only 8th grade, they don't want to have you come back for finals and that. So there's just you know, a heats, right? I think it was 3 heats, and I take off. I'm running a great race. I ran the best time I ever ran. I was like 26 something, which for 8th grade is unbelievable. A kid made it staggered on me in the inside, Derek. I'm not kidding. In the first 50 meters, I thought I was running great, and this kid comes flying around the inside, and I had not lost a race all year long. The aha moment as you're running that you are not going to be the champion was like, whoa. And then other kids came storming in. I ended up finishing 7th, just out of the medal, and I ran my best race of the year. But when he came on the inside, it was at the University of Florida. It was just like, I don't know. It was one of these feelings, like, it was just an odd feeling. I can't even explain it, you know, especially when you hadn't lost all year. I had not.
Well, I think that's the big part, is like, you didn't know anything other than, you know what I mean?
It was amazing. And then, you know, I walked away from that like there are really some athletes in this world. Like, there are athletes. I think the winner was like 24 seconds with hurdles. That means he runs 100, 200 at in 8th grade at probably 22. I mean, I didn't run 22 until I was a senior in high school. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's amazing. Like, that kid was a 22 something, probably 200-meter guy in 8th grade.
It's crazy.
Holy shit. And then we watched the older kids. We would watch. They had a thing called Team Florida. It was the first time I ever saw anything, quote unquote, AAU. Although my 4x400 was probably an AAU team, because we took all the best kids from Bergen County. And it was a great team. Every legendary football and track kid was on that, other than one kid who just, for some reason, kind of peaked out as a younger kid. The other 3 were all became legends. Anthony Hampton, Darius Pemberton. I always say, like, at the time, I must have hit puberty before all of them, because I was better than them at that time. But they ended up being phenomenal, like national champions. But it was so interesting. I watched Team Florida's 17-18 4x1 team. I had never seen speed like that in my life. Like I had been to my father's track meets. I had seen champions, you know, in Bergen County in the state, and they were good. I had never seen. They ran like 40 point something in like, and they were an all-star team. You know what I mean? But it was. I don't know. That's why it's like, when I see things now, even I remember seeing these as a young kid, being exposed to. Obviously, kids now are exposed to it earlier, and I don't know that that's necessarily a great thing, because when I was exposed to it at 8th grade, it just drove me to work harder. I don't know if you're exposed to it at 5th grade, that it drives you to work harder. It just kind of makes you more question yourself a little bit, I would think. But in 8th grade, if you're a good athlete, it makes you drop. It was so interesting. These kids were flying, and it was almost unfathomable how fast they were. They were so fast. That's the only way I can describe it. They were so fast. And when you think of yourself as being fast, and then you see what I call real speed, like, you know, there's levels of freakness in the world, right? And most people won't even achieve, like, I feel like there's like 5 levels of it. And most people will not even achieve level 3.
No doubt.
Okay. And I feel like I was able to get to like level 4, but level 5 is the NFL. Like level 5 is the NBA, right? And then there's, a 5+, which is the Hall of Famers that come out of those. You know what I mean? But it's so, when you see it for the first time, it's mind blowing. And you have two choices. You could really double down and give everything you have and try to get there, right? And be the best that you can be. Or you could say I'm never going to be there. And obviously the real athletes compete, right? The real athletes compete. So, I mean, I'm curious. Obviously you were a phenomenal football player. AU basketball might have been like your aha and some of that stuff. Like,
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I always reference that, like, I played on an AAU team. Here we are, like, obviously, yes, it was an eye-opening experience because now you're around just higher level guys. Now, look, I'll tell you the biggest eye-opener for me was obviously growing up in a small town, right? Like, okay, you're pretty good in town and you don't really know what's out there until, you go what's out there. Now, our youth sports across the board, I thought were excellent in where I grew up in terms of like always having the opportunity to play in a town where I thought like even your baseline athletes were a higher level of an athlete. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I think that culture within the town, I think, is one thing, right? Because it was a winning mentality and like there were pretty good players, even if you weren't considered a good player, right? So the baseline, right? I guess the floor was higher than others, I think. And then the setup itself was, look, like football you could only do during football season, right? Like, and that's all there was, right? But we played, right. Like there were opportunities to do hoops and basketball, right? Like there was, majority of us played in the rec leagues growing up, right? And again, I think where I grew up, like 2 small towns going to 1 high school, I think added to it as well. So you could play, you know what I mean? Like rec league. But then as you transition to like middle school, like we had obviously the middle school team, right? Which was basically 7th and 8th grade. That was one thing. And then our CYO, Catholic Youth Organization League that we had, the church in town, that was really where a lot of this stuff like started to happen, was because you played in our CYO league. There was a 5th and 6th grade team. There was a 7th and 8th grade team. Look, the 5th and 6th grade coach growing up, was an assistant coach at the high school, right? So you knew you were getting really good coaching. The 8th grade coach was like a dad, but knew hoops. And like, so I always preface that football and basketball was like, I was coached at a high level from a really, really young age. And that's without throwing my dad into the mix, who was a coach and a high level player for forever. Right. So I was around it a lot, but that Catholic Youth League, man, that was where you ventured out and you saw kids from other places. That was the first, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, where do you really stack up? I mean, look, they ran like a rec Saturday morning league that you played in, right? There was like, a 9 a.m. game, a 10 a.m. game, an 11 a.m. game, a 12 a.m. game. Like that's where you grew up, like battling against those guys within these 2 towns. Then you went to, the middle school team or the youth or the CYO team. Then when you got to high school, that's when we really kind of like a couple of us ventured out to do other things like play AAU and whatnot. But for me, the biggest eye opener was when I went to football camp at Del Barton as a middle school guy, right? Because look, small town, like you're going to go to the public high school. Like going to a private school was never on the radar, but it was one kid had done that and it was, hey, like, I know you want to do football all the time. And it was like, hey, can I go to this like camp that they have? And it was like, yeah, sure, we'll sign you up. So here I am, like socially, I didn't know anybody. You know what I'm saying? So that was like an eye-opening experience for myself. Like it was an all-day camp. Like who do you sit with at lunch or who do you talk to, whatever. And that was really interesting, right? Like without somebody there who you knew, it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to grab a friend so we can go and kind of whatever. It was like, no, you want to go do this? Like go do it on your own. And I remember like we were just doing some drill where we were like catching and I made like a good catch, like a one-handed something. Like to me, it was just like, okay, I caught the ball. But I remember circling back, getting back into line. And then all of a sudden, like a lot of the players like kind of ran the camp. Right. And the guy was like, hey, that was a really good catch. Right. I think it was like the quarterback at the time. And then like, before I knew it, like now one of the coaches from Del Barton came over and had a conversation. And then another guy came over and a conversation. And then when it was lunchtime, I sat at a table, and now all of a sudden there were guys that were already going to Del Barton. Like, were those kids in the camp, but they were already, I'm coming here. Now all of a sudden, like, I sit down at a table, and now they sit down at the table, right? And it was just this now, like, oh, and then by the end of the week, it was like, hey, I think you should come to Del Barton, right? Like, hey, after camp, like, point out your mom and dad because we'd like to talk to them, type of thing, right? So that's where I think really flipped a switch in a lot of different ways, right? It showed me that, like, being good at a sport now opens a lot of doors in, look at these kids are talking to me now, right? Or these guys are paying attention to me. And now by Friday, it was like we were best friends. Like, hey man, like, it was just that really kind of opened it up for me. Also, going into an AAU program where you're like, hey, you're really good. And then all of a sudden that first game, you don't start, and you've never experienced that before, of like, you're not a starter yet, right? Like, you could get there, but you have to raise your game. Okay. Or, hey, you know, that was the first time too, where it was like my measurables started to be like, okay, you're only this, or you're short. You know what I mean? Like, your height's going to whatever. And that's where I start to see that. But then ultimately, like, you know, it was always, hey, hard work is the foundation. As long as you work hard and do what you're supposed to do, it'll all work out. And that's really where I learned that, because I just continued to work hard and then eventually started. So a lot of that stuff, I think you have to go through the mud a little bit, but you have to venture out. Otherwise you'll always just, and had I not done some of those things, I don't know if I would have been as successful moving forward in my career, because, you know, you would have just expected to be the starter or expected to be one of the best players. So I think that in itself, going and finding those right fits. Now, look, I wasn't going to go to a Division I camp and get my doors blown off and kill my confidence too. I think my parents managed that really well, of like, hey, let's go check this out. I think we can, quote unquote, handle this, right? I think that's a bridge too, that you kind of gauge it, see where you're at, and then make a decision from there. I think a lot of these people want to just look at what's the you know, what's in the limelight on social media, send your kid to that camp when they sure as shit ain't ready for it. And now all of a sudden that confidence or whatever little bit of question they had goes in the different direction. So I think that needs to be a really big factor in determining what you want to do. And ultimately coming down to, what does your kid want to do? Like, do they want to be all in on it? Like, I think you can force feed that for a little bit, but ultimately, like, if you're literally fighting to get them to go to practice, or the last thing they want to do
is golfer, and they don't want to golf. I use like an outlier sport, you know.
No doubt. Like, no doubt, Dave. Like, there's no doubt about it.
People are like, my kid's going to be a golfer, right? And then they get them.
What if they don't like golf?
Yeah, and then so you went all in on it, and that's where the heart. Like, I feel like you do that, you could do that, and then if it's your second sport, okay, then you have to worry about it anyway, because you're just doing it kind of part time, and he'll probably enjoy it, right? Knowing that sport will end seasonally. But if you're trying to make the main sport you're driving one they don't enjoy at all, I just don't think it'll happen. And I just, now, you know, they may do it in spite of, but they might do it, but they may really want another sport, and then you may have been able to go all in on another sport, and then you went all in the sport they don't enjoy, and then ultimately what it comes down to is they're not going to eventually give the level of effort that you want them to give, right? And that's eventually what it ends up coming to.
I kind of look at it. I look at it like this, right? Like, we were fortunate enough that, you know, this summer we had Miles Austin's son in our flag league, right? Yeah. And obviously Miles Austin, high-level player, high-level athlete, right? But ultimately football was his thing, NFL, all that kind of stuff. Well, he's the first one. You talk about his son, and it's like, oh yeah, well, he doesn't play tackle football. He's like, not until he asks, right? Like, he's not, it is where he loves baseball. That's where we're at, right? Whereas I'm sure there are so many outside factors of people or whoever just saying, well, you're Miles Austin. This is your son. Why doesn't he play football? You know what I mean? So I think that's a mature situation and conversation. Right. It wasn't like, hey, you're never going to do this. It was, hey, when the time is right, like, we will look at it and then we'll go. right? But I think that's just so important. Like, I'm not going to force feed something. I'm going to
And you
push
can
it.
still train them accordingly, even if they're
No
not
doubt.
in that. So
and they won't even know.
You could be training them for football by playing flag football, by catching in the backyard, by doing drills without even having to put them in it yet.
All of those little things, right? Like if all of a sudden, like, you know, like my daughter's going to know how to shoot a basketball, right? Whether she plays basketball in any capacity or whatever, because the way it is right now, dude, like she might be a hockey player because she just wants to bang into everything that it's like, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, great. But these avenues now for her, obviously, because she's my first, right? So she's going to hit it before obviously my son does, who literally is like 9 weeks, right? Like, I just can already see it. All right. You know, obviously it's trending that way, but I also see like her love of what her older cousin does, which is gymnastics. And she's forever flipping around and doing cartwheels. And, you know, she's got the bar in the house with the mat underneath it, right? So now my daughter goes and hangs out with her cousin and watches her flip around. And, you know, I come home the other day and she's doing front rolls, like picture perfect, like, okay. And always talking about like, hey, I want to go to gymnastics or I want to run around. Like we've brought her over there for some meets and stuff, and she's on the rings and she's bouncing off of this, right? So I think just the exposure to certain things will create a passion or a love for it at a very young age, right? Like if I go and put her on ice skates and she has a great experience, well, Dad, I want to go ice skate, you know? And I think that in itself could be the prerequisite to like, look, if you can't skate, you can't play hockey, right? I also think you need to know the makeup of the town where you live.
That's a big part too. What are they going to have opportunities for?
Absolutely. So like I wouldn't in Butler, right, where I'm from, I wouldn't push my daughter or my son to play lacrosse because there's no lacrosse program, right? Like why would you do that? Now that might be
move, I guess.
100%. Now look, who's to say that I couldn't have been a freaking John Hopkins, you know, lacrosse player if we had it, right?
Probably could have.
No doubt. Like if I had gone to Mountain Lakes where lacrosse was the thing, like shit, like I'd probably have a different outlook on things, right? But
I agree.
I think you need to be aware of a lot of that. Like, look, like even for your son, had you raised him where you grew up or where you had originally lived, right? Like think about it, because he would have gone to where? Public school would have been West Orange?
No,
or West Essex?
West Essex.
So there you go. Like think about that. Like probably going to push him towards wrestling or something of like what West Essex is good at.
Football, I guess, as well.
Right. I mean, shit, they're good at almost everything. So you know what I mean? Like,
right.
If I'm there and I have, you know, my daughter, I'm pushing her to field hockey because they have a really good field hockey program. What do I know about field hockey? Not much, you know, but I could train general athleticism as a young pup. And I think that's the approach to take. I think you train that. I don't think you want to like,
and you could do that as a little kid. Literally,
dude, my daughter hopping, like hopping around, jumping off, like, you know what I mean? Look, mom's going to be the first one to be like, hey, I don't want you to jump off the couch onto a cushion. Dad's like, yeah, but like, you know, jump off the couch, land on the cushion with stability. Like that in itself is, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you want to go outside and run the sidewalk back and forth because go run. Like she loves to run. So who knows? Distance runner? I don't know. Like cross country, whatever. Like those are opportunities that you can do that stuff all over. I think you have to gear it a little bit towards the makeup of your town and those kind of things, the opportunity. Now you can create that by moving and doing all those other kind of things, but in reality, is that the right thing? Because do you just want to up and move to some place that's not familiar? Like there's just so many outside factors that go into that too, that now you have to understand like who your child is or school systems and how all this stuff plays into it. You know what I mean? Like, look, I could up and bring her to Florida and do whatever, but is it the right move? Is it the right system? Is her not being around family like she is up here gonna
affect her?
Like, will that affect so that what I think is the right move might not be where she would flourish somewhere else because grandma and grandpa and aunt and uncle can come to games and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like Look, I'm literally seeing it right now with my two nieces who play at Butler High School. They're basketball players. They're sophomores. They just won their second round game in the playoffs, right? They beat Indian Hills, who upset the number 1 seed. So here they are, like, but you go to that game and there is so much extended family. Like half of the bleachers are made up by people supporting these two girls. Like, is being around that more important than having them play on a better team at a bigger school, right? So I think you have to, like, there's a lot of shit to juggle, but if you're and look, and you're going to have to make some tough decisions, and you're going to have to, but if you make that decision, be all in on it. Don't half-ass it and always go back to, well, we should have No, like Brown, like what's the name? John Brown, like what he said, like, dude, you go in on it and you go all in on it. And then you support it. Yeah, they're hard decisions, but it's part of it. Like, if you want to be a parent, like, this is what it is.
Right. There's no doubt. It's it's you have to be willing to do the things necessary to give them an opportunity. And
right. And look, like your example too, like raising your son, like, he's done every sport imaginable, right? Like, name a sport he hasn't tried or done or partaken in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking wrestling. Track clubs, wrestling. He hasn't done wrestling yet. Is that the only thing he hasn't? But I mean, think about it. There's an opportunity in where you live to do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely wrestling is huge over here. So,
but that's what I'm saying. I mean, look, and I just referenced, like I said, I was talking to somebody the other day. I said, look, like, you want to look at like the group champions for wrestling. Like, there's like 3 teams coming out of the Shore. So if you want to talk about like where team wise wrestling matters, like, it's the Shore, right where we are.
Who's gonna win?
Oh, they've already like the group finals that have already partaken, like, already happened. Like,
who won from?
I have to pull it up specifically, but even if they didn't win, Dave, it was the team that like got beat. You know what I mean? Like, like Brick Memorial was in the Group 4 finals, right?
Okay.
Southern, right?
Yeah, Southern's always
group
great.
Champs. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, it was like 3 of the 4 were short. Rumson. You know what I mean? Like,
Rumson, okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude. Unbelievable. But like, that's like, I kind of look at that.
That place is amazing.
It's a factory, dude. It's a factory.
For a small school, it's really a factory.
There's no doubt. Yeah, 100%. There's literally 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, even if you look back, like 2025, even go back last year, right? Group 5. In the finals, right? Southern and Bridgewater Raritan. Okay, there's one. Group 3, Delsey and Brick Memorial. Okay. Group 2, Rumson and Caldwell. Okay, right? Like, so you want to look at schools of like where it matters? Like, there you go, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy to kind of go look up that information. I think you got to be aware of that as a parent. That's just me. Obviously, it's because it's hard to like.
I mean, when you look at towns you move into, you want to know
that stuff all comes into it.
Yeah, you got to look at those things. Obviously, when you live in a big town, like I live in a big town, you live in a big town.
It's a little more difficult. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying you have a lot more opportunities though too. There's a lot more things.
No doubt. There's a lot more things to do. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like,
it's also going to be competitive.
Damn right.
So it's a both. You know, which is
hell yeah. But that's what you want. Like, you don't want, no offense, like, I don't want them to dominate everything from the jump. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want them to be on the bigger end of
dominate when it's you want them to dominate because they talent is one thing, but because they understand that working gets you there, that becomes.
Yes. That's what I want. Like, as long as I know that my kids are going to work hard and always give full, complete effort, because I want them to control what they can control, right? I understand there's going to be daddy ball. I understand there's going to be politics that play into it, right? And I will make them very much aware of it, but they will never voice it, right? Like, they're not going to say, hey, you only play because your dad's the coach. Like, they'll know that.
You know what? I'm going to give you one of my tips from this standpoint. Here, I learned that I don't even concern myself with it.
Yeah, no shit. No.
Yeah, because you know what happens? Like, now I would never put him in a situation where he wasn't good in that role, but
Right.
I don't concern because people literally this was one of my eye-opening, obviously, you things that once you actually yourself become involved in it,
Oh, hell
you
yeah.
you think about it one way as a high school coach, and then when you actually see it when you're in it,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why Greg also talks about it. I think
All the
part
time.
of him is surprised, if I'm not mistaken. Part of him was almost probably surprised.
I think
that
he's surprised at the level that goes into it because I think he grew up with it.
he no, yeah. I mean, I grew up with it too,
Like his
right?
dad being
So
the coach in
I
Wayne.
grew up with it,
Yeah, of
but I
course.
didn't. But
Anybody whose parent was a coach.
but you know what the difference was? There wasn't as many people have sports as important when he was playing, just like when I
And
was
it
playing.
wasn't so in the limelight with social media now.
You
Like,
might have
you didn't
one.
know
Yes,
some of these things that went
yes,
on, right?
yes.
Like there was a lot of like, I don't know who called on the phone. I don't know who sent a letter, right? But I sure as hell see who posted something, right? The access to
Correct.
seeing all the craziness now is very much in the limelight.
That's a great point. Yes, so you think if you get caught up in it, you think you think that you're actually like behind, but everyone's at a different pace. Like you would have never known if you were behind before. Okay, you were probably where you should be. Okay, in your development. Now you're looking at it and saying, "This guy's doing this. Do I need to do that?" And in some cases, yeah, there's stuff you could obviously you could always learn. I mean, that's the beauty of the internet is that there's plenty of things to learn. That's one of the things that's eye-opening for a coach, right? Is that wow, I'm learning. I've learned a lot of things that I might not have learned before in that capacity. But you also have to take it at face value, meaning like just because this person does this doesn't mean it's good. I use the example like people send me film on youth kids, and that some of them are on our youth teams, and I've actually seen them in person. I don't know if they're playing against a lower level. I don't know.
Well, think about it. That's why film evaluate. That's why guys want to get guys at camp. I don't know
They're
what
not
you're
as
playing
good.
against. Shit, you might be using AI.
They're not as good. So like that's the like I'm like whoa, you know, and when you're in like obviously our kids at Middletown and obviously the River Plats, those kids have been working obviously for a long time, right?
Yeah, right.
So
It's instilled in them.
when someone tells me that they're good, I actually have to see them against either us or those kids to really get a good gauge because our group has been now there has been kids that are really good, obviously, but I know they're a good baseline for me. They're a baseline to be like, I mean, if you're as good, if you're in range of them, then you're good.
Absolutely.
It's a good baseline, but and there are obviously kids from any town could be great,
No
but
doubt.
it's a baseline. It's surprising sometimes because you're like, wow, that's I realize why college coaches are like, I need to see these guys because like you'll watch a film on a kid and I'll be like, wow, this kid's good, and then you play against him and he's not good. It's not that he's not good. He's not as good as you like that film kind of
No
states.
shit.
You're
Which
like,
for
wow,
a guy like me always worked the other way, right? It
you
was
were
like
better than the film showed.
well, I think like the intangibles and the things that film doesn't show, right? Like the ability to be a team guy, the ability to, work hard and fill in the gaps and do all like like a locker room type of guy. Like, how do you measure that on film? You know what I mean? Like a guy that's going to stop 7 others from going out the night before a game so that they all play like shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you measure that?
That's very
Look,
hard.
like, what's his name? Oh God, something V loves the Jets, money guy. little guy. He talked about that, right? Like, hey, this guy we're going to draft, like, he's going to go out on Saturday night, the night before a game, and guess what? The next day, he's going to come out and he's going to perform like a superstar, irregardless of what he did. He goes, but this guy is going to stop the 6 others that he's going to bring with him who are all going to play like shit because they went out. This guy's going to tell him, no, dude, like, let's go out for food and then we're going home.
Right.
That's really hard to measure. And most times,
you need a guy on your team that's like that. You definitely do.
There's no doubt. But it's
at
really
the highest
hard to
level,
find that.
you're going to get more of, well, you're hoping you're recruiting guys that are like that and talented.
Correct.
You have a really good
best
team.
of both worlds. A Liam Anderson, like.
Yeah, right. There you go. Right. Stop him. And that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing, you know. So, but yeah, awesome stuff. Really good stuff. It was good stuff with PJ Gibbs. He really
I love PJ. I mean, he's awesome. He's always, and look, I give him a lot of credit because he really does a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like he's ventured out. He's a guy that's left Mana Squad, which most people don't do. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
it's hard. I'll tell you, it's hard. It's amazing how many of these teachers and coaches
just jealous of where he is.
I don't know about that. Yeah, you might know that better than me. But that
area is just booming, dude.
The fact that
and how crazy is that?
Side businesses, they take on side
100%.
businesses.
No
doubt. A lot of guys take on side businesses now, which is very.
Well, here's the thing. Well,
is it not enough teachers? Is that what it is?
Dude, teachers have always had other jobs because remember they had summers off and they whatever like teaching, but teaching's a lot now, right? So it is like it's hard to have another gig when you're constantly trying to do whatever, right? It's really, really hard. Like, and you're ultimately, unless you leave the classroom, you're really never going to make, you know what I mean? Like you're going to make good money, but you ain't going to be rich unless you go and be an administrator or, you know what I mean? Like, and keep moving up, whatever. Teachers have found the way to do things outside of it because it's hard. Like you can't ask for overtime as a teacher, even though you're spending an astronomical amount of hours outside of your teaching time.
Yeah,
like it's not a 7 to 3 like everybody thinks. You don't have summers off because most times you have to go work another job just to maintain it. Remember, teachers don't get paid over the summer. I mean, certain districts have it in their contracts that you can get 12-month pay or you can, but like, think about it. You're basically unemployed for 2 months every year.
Right. You're out. Yeah, that's a good point.
July and August, there's no money coming in unless you are a really good budgeter or you're in a district that allows for 12-month pay or whatever, right? Like that's just kind of the nature of the beast. Think about how many teachers you knew that always had something else.
Oh, it's a great point. It's
you know, and then people want to bash on teachers for that. Like, oh, you have summers off. Like, dude. And think about like, just spend 6 hours a day with your kid. You tell me if you could do that 5 days a week and stay sane. Like, now times that kid by 25 or 30, what's in your classroom. Now go from there. And remember, teaching isn't like a thing where it's not a job where you're sitting in front of a computer and you're only worrying about you or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like you're responsible for the livelihood of 30 lives, like 30 human beings. Like you talk about a stress level, like unless you just really are a shitty teacher and don't give a shit.
No doubt. No doubt. I got to
tomorrow we're back. Colin Genove. I think that's how I say it. But it'll be really cool.
Check out the Prospect check out the prospectpodcast.com website.
I've been sending it to people.
Oh,
thoroughly impressed.
Oh, they like it? Yeah,
like,
I'm trying to get as many of these.
I'll name drop, but you know who I sent it to who asked about it? Adam Archuleta.
Oh, yeah. He follows me on Twitter.
He's awesome.
I follow him also, obviously.
Yeah, he's great.
That would be great to have him on.
I'm trying because he got into when his son got into high school, he went back and started to help out. And I guess he had kind of got away from it, right? Because he was doing the broadcasting stuff. Like once he stopped playing, he got into the broadcasting stuff. So he kind of got away from all of those things. And then watching his kid go through it was kind of like, oh, I think I need to take more of a hands-on approach to this. You know what I'm saying?
That's the that's the biggest thing that I think a lot of they themselves were really good athletes that they had to learn.
It's hard to transition and coach, dude.
Well, no, they had to learn with their own kids is that because the participation in youth sports is so high that you think, oh, my kid's going to have natural level of athleticism. That actually helps. It helps, but it doesn't go far enough. And because everybody's working, that's the biggest change in youth sports. Everybody's working. Now, there's levels of what they're doing, and there's levels of knowledge, right? But I'm actually not, I don't want to rush your children along because you want to take your time and enjoy it. But I really am.
I know they say that, but I'll tell you what, when you're in it, it's really hard to not want to rush through this shit. Like,
yeah, I was like that too. But
you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I want to savor
the
moments, and I love it. Yes, and like obviously, you've definitely been like, hey, like, I would really just like my son to like be at that age again, like right where
it was fun.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and I get it.
But it is stressful too. It was stressful too.
And I'll tell you what, like having an older one and the younger one, like, look, only 2 months into it or whatnot, but like, yeah, like because to me, it's like you still want to give the same to both, and that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like at the same time, you're still trying to live a life yourself, right? In a capacity to give them a better life. But yeah, it's difficult. So like, dude, parents that have like 3, 4, like you're fucking crazy. Dude, like
parents God bless them, dude.
100%. Like, dude,
I'm just like,
kudos to anybody that has over 2. Because when it shifts from man to man to zone, God bless you.
It's amazing. I mean, they deserve a ton of credit. I wish I was repopulating the earth in that same capacity, but
right. I wish I could just do that too, but you know what? Like that ain't how it works, bro.
It's amazing. It's pretty cool. It's cool. But yeah, it's to go to the site. I mean, I'm getting these up as fast as I can. It's gonna take me a month to get all of them up, the pictures I'm talking about. But but once it goes up, it's cool. Like I'm looking, like it does add something having each guy's picture up because I'm going when I've seen the, you know what I mean? Like you see
and the guy tomorrow, like who we're gonna talk to, Colin Genove, right? Like he was an NFL guy for 3 days, right? So and now he's gotten into the he has a weekly newsletter. It's called the Fortitude Chronicle. So it talks about like, obviously like, your mental state and all that stuff and like motivational stuff. So I saw he recently interviewed Sahil Bloom, who wrote, obviously he's an author, The 5 Types of Wealth. So he recently just interviewed him. And I thought the way they communicated and talked about some of these things about like how you move forward in life and continue to like, keep your foot on the throttle and all that kind of stuff, like where your mental state needs to be, like kind of piqued my interest. So I'm excited to kind of talk to him about how, he approaches it and what he talks to guys about. So it'll be good. That's we're 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Awesome. All right, cool. I'll see you.
Got it, buddy. Yes, sir.